Imagine passing through total chaos without being touched. You get insulted on the internet, yet you do not react. You face brutal pressure at work, yet you do not crumble. You lose everything, yet you never lose yourself. Most people crave this untouchable power, but they seek it in the wrong place. And when you look at their nice people-pleasing lives closely, you realize something strange. Your kindness is not a virtue. It is a dangerous poison ruining your life. Most people will quit halfway. But if you stay till the end, let's begin. You think your greatest virtue is your kindness. You wear your selflessness like a badge of honor. You believe that by always saying yes, by always being available, by never causing conflict, you are being a good person. But let me tell you something brutal. You are lying to yourself. What you call kindness is actually a dangerous disease. It is the addiction to validation. It is the toxic fear of rejection disguised as morality. Look at your own life. You are working at your office in New York, and your manager drops another massive pile of work on your desk at 5 p.m. You already have too much to do. Your chest feels tight. You want to say no. But instead, you smile, nod, and say, "Sure, I can handle that." You don't do it out of love. You do it because you are terrified of what they will think of you if you say no. Think about your daily digital habits. A message pops up on your phone. It is someone asking for a favor that will ruin your entire weekend. You feel an instant wave of resentment. Yet, you unlock your phone and reply within 30 seconds. Why? Because the thought of them being slightly displeased with you makes you feel physically unsafe. You are constantly on edge, checking for likes, waiting for replies, bending your spine to fit into everyone else's expectations. That means you are not a saint. You are a captive. You are drowning in a sea of your own resentment. You sacrifice your time, your energy, and your mental peace to keep everyone else happy. And what do you get in return? Do they respect you more? No. They take you for granted. They see your boundaries as suggestions. They treat your time as free real estate. You are constantly exhausted, bitter, and hollowed out, wondering why the world is so unfair to someone as nice as you. The ancient Stoics understood this psychological trap perfectly. They knew that when you base your worth on the opinions of others, you hand over the keys to your life. You become completely predictable. You become easily manipulated. Imagine a dry leaf on the pavement. The wind blows from the north, and the leaf moves north. The wind shifts to the south, and the leaf flies south. It has no say in its own direction. It has no internal stability. It is entirely at the mercy of outside forces. Right now, your emotional life is exactly like that dry leaf. One demanding email ruins your evening. One unanswered text destroys your confidence. One ungrateful friend breaks your spirit. You are not being nice. You are just weak. You have traded your self-respect for cheap, temporary peace. You have turned yourself into a doormat and then complained that people are walking over you with muddy shoes. You think you are keeping the peace, but you are actually waging a silent, brutal war against your own soul. Every time you say a fake yes to someone else, you are saying a definitive no to your own sanity. Read that again, because your entire future depends on understanding this truth. You are hurt not by the demands of the world, but by your own desperate need to be liked by it. Your ego is so fragile that it cannot handle the weight of someone else's temporary disappointment. So, you chose to ruin your own life instead. You chose to poison your own well just to keep their cups full. Let's be completely honest. You are not a good person because you cannot say no. A person who cannot say no has no real choice. And if you have no choice, you have no virtue. You are simply a coward wearing the mask of a martyr. You think you are building a legacy of kindness, but you are actually building a prison of resentment. This is the heavy price of people-pleasing. It ruins your focus, it drains your power, and it completely destroys your destiny. You are living a life designed by committee, where everyone has a vote except you. That is not a virtue. That is a tragedy. Why do you exhaust yourself trying to fix things you did not break? Why do you bleed to keep others warm, while your own house freezes? Look at your own life. You spend your days managing the fragile feelings of everyone around you, terrified of a single frown or a critical comment. But what if I told you that you are wasting your life fighting an unwinnable war? To understand how to break this cycle, we must look to the past. 2,000 years ago, the most powerful man in the world faced the exact same pressure. Marcus Aurelius was not just a philosopher. He was the emperor of Rome. He had millions of people depending on him, corrupt politicians plotting against him, and endless wars threatening his empire. Yet he remained completely calm. He did not lose his mind trying to make everyone like him. He did not change his principles to avoid conflict. He understood a fundamental Stoic truth, which he wrote down in his private journal. He said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. But you live your life completely backwards. You think your peace of mind depends on how other people view you. You think that if you can just be nice enough, generous enough, and accommodating enough, the world will treat you well. You are trying to control the uncontrollable." The Stoics divided the entire universe into two clear categories: the things that are up to us and the things that are not up to us. Within your control are your thoughts, your intentions, your personal boundaries, and your own energy. Outside of your control is everything else. This includes the opinions of your friends, the mood of your boss, the reactions of your family, and the approval of strangers. When you engage in people-pleasing, you are investing your limited life force into things that do not belong to you. You are trying to force outside events to conform to your desires. And because you cannot control them, you panic, you stress, you apologize for things you did not do. Imagine a massive mountain standing tall in the middle of a brutal winter storm. The freezing winds scream against it. The dark clouds dump tons of snow on its peaks. The lightning strikes its rocks. Does the mountain bend? Does it change its shape to make the storm less angry? No. The mountain remains a mountain. It knows the storm is external. It knows the wind will eventually run out of breath. The mountain stays grounded in its own nature. Now, look at yourself. You are not the mountain. You are a helpless cloud, shifting and drifting with every changing breeze of public opinion. If someone smiles at you, you have a good day. If someone uses a cold tone in an email, your entire weekend is ruined. You have no core. You have no solid foundation. Marcus Aurelius wrote another powerful reminder to himself. He said, "I have often wondered how it is that every man loves himself more than all the rest of men, but yet sets less value on his own opinion of himself than on the opinion of others." Read that again. You value the distorted opinions of people who do not even know themselves more than you value your own internal dignity. You let their criticism define your worth. You let their expectations dictate your schedule. You have abandoned your post as the ruler of your own mind. Why do you care so much about their validation? Why do you get frustrated when your kindness is met with coldness? The problem is not their ingratitude. The problem is your expectation. You gave your energy away like a transaction, hoping to buy their love. And when they refuse to pay you back in respect, you feel broken. True strength is realizing that other people's behavior has absolutely nothing to do with you. If someone is selfish, that is their nature. If someone takes advantage of you, that is their character. Your only responsibility is how you manage your own soul. You must build an inner fortress that external chaos cannot penetrate. The moment you accept that you cannot control the minds of others, a profound stillness settles over you. You stop explaining yourself. You stop begging for permission to exist. You become like the deep ocean. The surface might be violent, but the depths are completely untouched. That is power. What is the ultimate price of being unable to say no? Look at your own life. You believe you are choosing peace. But in reality, you are choosing slavery. Every time you say yes to someone else's demand while your mind screams no, you are handing over your freedom. To break this chain, we must listen to Epictetus. He was a philosopher who truly understood slavery. Why? Because he was born a slave. He spent his youth in chains under a brutal master in Rome. Yet, even in physical bondage, his mind was entirely free. He realized that true freedom has nothing to do with your physical status. True freedom is the absolute mastery of your own will. The Stoics called this prohairesis. It is your power to choose what you accept and what you reject. Epictetus famously wrote, "No man is free who is not master of himself." But right now, you are not your own master. You are a slave to the moods of others. You are a hostage to their expectations. When you constantly compromise your values just to keep people happy, you let external forces dictate your internal state. Anyone who can make you feel guilty with a heavy sigh or an angry look becomes your master. Think about it. You receive a request that you absolutely do not have time for. Your body feels heavy. You feel a wave of anxiety. But instead of rejecting it, you immediately type out a paragraph explaining why you might not be able to do it, followed by a pathetic apology. You are begging for permission to have a life. You think you are being polite. Epictetus would tell you that you are being submissive. When you say yes to avoid a brief moment of awkwardness, you are trading your long-term self-respect for a few seconds of comfort. You are letting people manipulate your time. You are letting them exhaust your energy. Imagine a perfect mirror standing in the middle of a dense, dark forest. A furious lion walks up to it and roars with terrifying rage. The mirror reflects the lion, but it does not tremble. A sudden storm hits the forest, ripping branches from trees and scattering debris everywhere. The mirror reflects the chaos, but it does not break. It remains completely still, cool, and unaffected. It just reflects reality without absorbing the poison. Your mind must become that mirror. When someone makes a demanding request or tries to guilt-trip you, you must reflect the situation clearly without letting it alter your inner state. Their anger is their business. Their disappointment is their problem. Look at your daily interactions. Why do you get defensive when you want to say no? Why do you feel the need to give 10 excuses? It is because your ego is still begging for validation. You want to refuse the request, but you also desperately want them to think you are an amazing person. You cannot have both. True freedom requires courage. It requires the willingness to let people be wrong about you. It requires the strength to say a simple, firm no without adding a single word of justification. No explanation, no apology, no compromise. If they get upset, let them. If they talk behind your back, let them. Their reaction is an outside event. It is completely beyond your control. The only thing within your control is your own integrity. Read that again, because this is the dividing line between a slave and a master. When you learn to say no, you reclaim your power. You stop being a cheap commodity that everyone can use for free. You start being a person of high value. People might not always like your boundaries, but they will be forced to respect them. Next time you're about to say yes out of habit, pause. Remember Epictetus. Remember your internal will. Ask yourself, am I choosing my own life, or am I serving someone else's ego? If you do not protect your boundaries, no one else will. The world will take exactly as much as you are willing to give until there is nothing left of you. Take back your life. Own your choice. That is power. How much of your life do you actually own? Look at your calendar. Look at your daily routine. You are constantly rushing through crowded streets, responding to urgent notifications, attending meaningless happy hours, and listening to toxic people complain about problems they refuse to fix. You are running as fast as you can, yet you feel completely hollow inside. But what if I told you that your biggest tragedy is not that you are busy, but that you are willingly throwing your life away? Think about it. One useless notification can steal your focus. One superficial gathering can drain your energy. One demanding text can sabotage your weekend. That means your time does not belong to you. And in a chaotic, hyper-connected society where everyone is desperately screaming for attention, the person who protects their time protects their destiny. To understand the sheer tariff of this lifestyle, we must look to Seneca. He was an incredibly wealthy and influential Stoic philosopher who watched the elites of Rome ruin themselves through meaningless distractions. He wrote a masterpiece called On the Shortness of Life, and his words feel like a direct slap to our modern digital existence. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. But you refuse to see this. You think you have an infinite supply of days. You treat your time like it is completely free. If someone walked into your house and tried to steal your money, you would fight back with absolute rage. You would lock your doors. You would call the police. Yet, you willingly allow toxic friends, needy colleagues and random acquaintances to walk right into your mind and steal your irreplaceable hours. You do not protect your life. You host a free auction for it. Imagine a massive ancient river flowing through a dry desert. The water is pure, powerful, and essential for survival. Now, imagine a crowd of people standing along the riverbank with small cups, buckets, and massive jars. They dip their containers into the water, taking as much as they want, whenever they want. The river does not stop them. It does not divert its path. It just keeps giving itself away until it dries up into a pathetic patch of mud. Most people live exactly like that dying river. You let everyone scoop out a piece of your life, just because you are too afraid to tell them to leave you alone. Look at your current environment. Think about the superficial social circles in major cities. Why do you say yes to dinners with people you do not even respect? Why do you spend hours responding to group chats that add absolutely zero value to your future? It is not out of love. It is because you are terrified of missing out. You are terrified of being lonely. You are terrified of sitting in a quiet room with nothing but your own thoughts. Seneca said, "People are frugal in guarding their personal property, but as soon as it comes to squandering time, they are most wasteful of the one thing in which it is right to be stingy." Read that again. You are incredibly protective of your bank account, but you are completely reckless with your existence. You can always earn more money. You can never earn more time. Every single second you spend listening to a manipulative person or pretending to enjoy an event you hate is a second you have permanently deleted from your life. It is time to stop the bleeding. It is time to become aggressively protective of your energy. You do not owe anyone your presence. You do not owe anyone an explanation for why you choose to stay home and focus on your own mind. Next time someone asks you to sacrifice your peace for their convenience, remember Seneca. Look at your life through the lens of mortality. Ask yourself, is this person worth a piece of my finite existence? If the answer is no, walk away without looking back. Let them judge you. Let them call you selfish. Their opinions cannot shorten your days, but your people-pleasing absolutely will. Reclaim your boundaries. Guard your gates. That is power. How long will you keep letting your fear manage your life? Look at your past decisions. You know exactly what needs to change, but you keep waiting for a magical moment when setting boundaries will suddenly feel comfortable. It never will. If you want to stop being a doormat, you must train your mind like a soldier preparing for battle. You need an actionable strategy, not cheap motivation. When was the last time you dared to say no without adding a single word of apology? To rebuild your life, you must implement 3 brutal, non-negotiable Stoic habits. The first tactical step is to master the strategic pause. When someone texts you or corners you with a demanding request, your untrained mind wants to answer instantly. Why? Because your anxiety demands a resolution. Break that habit immediately. When a manipulative request lands in your inbox, do not touch it. Force yourself to wait. If you are in person, breathe slowly and look them in the eyes for 5 seconds before speaking. That tiny delay is where you reclaim your power. It drops you from the chaotic surface of panic down into the deep, quiet ocean of logic. It shifts your mental state from an automated reflex to a conscious command. The second step is the direct, unadorned refusal. Most people fail here because they try to sugarcoat their boundaries. They use weak phrases like "I'd love to, but I'm just so busy," or "I'm so sorry, maybe next time." This is dangerous. It invites negotiation. It tells the other person that your time is up for discussion. True Stoic strength means speaking with absolute clarity. You say, "No, I cannot do that," or "No, that does not align with my priorities right now." No explanations, no fake promises, no desperate historical justifications. You do not owe anyone a narrative for how you spend your life. If they push for an answer, repeat the exact same sentence with a flat, neutral tone. You are not a customer service representative trying to appease an angry client. You are the sovereign ruler of your own existence. That is power. The third and final step is the most difficult. You must practice amorphity towards social friction. Amor fati means the love of fate. It means you do not just tolerate reality, you embrace it as fuel. When you start stating your boundaries clearly, people will get angry. They will call you cold. They will say you have changed. They might even exclude you from their social circles. Most people panic when this happens and run back to their old people-pleasing ways. But a Stoic looks at their frustration and smiles. Their anger is the ultimate proof that your boundaries are working. It means they can no longer use you for free. Imagine a massive river flowing over hard stone. The water does not complain about the rock. It does not beg the obstacle to move. It simply finds its own path around it, erosion by erosion, completely focused on its own course. The criticism of others is just background noise. It is an external event that cannot penetrate your inner sanctuary unless you let it. Let them talk. Let them think what they want. Their opinion is a neutral event. Your peace of mind is an internal obligation. Look at your current habits. The problem is not that you lack kindness. The problem is that you lack respect for your own time, your own energy, and your own sanity. Read that again. You have been treating your own life like a trash can where anyone can dump their emotional garbage. It stops today. You have the complete authority to protect your gates. Use it. Next time you feel the familiar urge to appease someone at your own expense, stop. Use the pause. State your refusal. Embrace the friction. The world will adjust to your new boundaries, but only if you hold them with iron discipline. Do not look for their approval. Look for your own freedom. That's it. We have reached the end of our journey. But your real test begins the exact second this video stops playing. Right now, you are standing at a critical crossroads, and your mind is looking for an easy escape. You want to feel good about what you just watched. You want to believe that simply consuming this philosophical knowledge has made you a stronger person. It has not. Information without execution is just another form of distraction. Look at the truest state of your life. You now understand the profound mechanics of your own weakness. You know that your desperate addiction to validation is a slow-acting poison. You know that your inability to say no is not a noble sacrifice, but a total surrender of your personal freedom. You have seen how the ancient Stoics protected their time, their focus, and their boundaries against the exact same social chaos you face every single day. So, what are you going to do with this truth? This is your ultimate dilemma. You have only two choices moving forward. There is no middle ground. There is no gray area. Your first option is to close this screen and go right back to your comfortable, predictable routine. You can choose to forget everything you just heard. You can go back to apologizing for things you did not do, answering toxic text messages within 30 seconds, and bleeding yourself dry just to keep ungrateful people warm. You can choose to remain a dry leaf, entirely at the mercy of the next social wind that blows across your path. But understand this, if you choose that path, you lose the right to complain about your misery. You can no longer pretend to be a victim of a cruel world. You are actively choosing your own manipulation. You are choosing to be a doormat. Read that again. Your second option is to accept the brutal challenge of becoming the mountain. You can choose to step up and assume complete ownership of your existence. This means you must accept the initial discomfort of drawing an iron line in the sand. You must accept that people will be disappointed in you. You must embrace the social friction, the awkward silences, and the cold looks as the ultimate proof of your emerging freedom. You must stop trading your self-respect for cheap temporary peace. This is not a light adjustment. This is a complete, ruthless loaf-of-life transformation. It requires you to confront the ugliest parts of your ego and kill your desperate need to be liked by everyone you meet. The world does not need more weak people wearing the mask of a martyr. The world needs individuals who are grounded, immovable, and entirely master of their own will. The choice belongs entirely to you. No one is coming to save you from your own passivity. No one is going to establish your boundaries for you. Your manager will keep dumping work on your desk. Your friends will keep demanding your energy, and the digital world will keep screaming for your attention until you decide to lock your gates. You now possess the design. You have the strategic pause. You have the direct refusal. You have the ancient wisdom of Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca as your heavy armor. The mirror in the forest does not choose when the storm arrives, but it always chooses to remain a mirror. Are you going to keep hosting a free auction for your irreplaceable life, or are you going to finally become untouchable? The screen is about to go black. The outside world is waiting to test your resolve. Your old habits are ready to pull you back into the mud of resentment. Do not compromise. Do not explain. Do not retreat. Stay disciplined. Stay aware. Stay in control.